Hi, friends! Today we are going to talk about an issue that may seem quiet on the surface, but it has the potential to impact global politics in a major way. Russia has warned that if Greenland is used for military purposes, it will respond with military and technical measures. This is not just a simple statement, it is a strategic message. But the real question is, why has Greenland suddenly become so important? Why are the world's major powers focusing on a frozen island covered in ice? Greenland is the largest island in the world. Geographically, it lies between North America and Europe inside the Arctic Circle. At first glance, it looks like a remote, icy, and isolated region. But in global politics, geography often becomes power. Greenland sits in a position that allows control and monitoring over the North Atlantic and the Arctic Ocean. If advanced radar systems, missile defense systems, or military bases are installed there, they could significantly affect the strategic balance between Russia and the United States. During the Cold War, the Arctic was extremely important because the shortest flight path between the U.S. and Russia passed over the North Pole. That reality has not changed. Another important factor is climate change. As Arctic ice melts, new sea routes are opening, especially the Northern Sea Route, which can reduce travel time between Asia and Europe. Where trade expands, power politics follows. These include oil, gas, uranium, and rare earth elements. Rare earth minerals are critical for modern technology. Batteries, smartphones, renewable energy systems, and advanced military equipment. In other words, Greenland is not just about military positioning. It is also about the future global economy. Now let's look at Russia's warning. Russia has stated that if military infrastructure is deployed in Greenland in a way that threatens its security, it will take what it calls military technical measures. This phrase does not necessarily mean direct war. It usually refers to strengthening defense capabilities. For example, expanding military bases in the Arctic, deploying additional missile systems, increasing naval and air patrols, positioning advanced or hypersonic weapons. Russia has already reactivated several Arctic military facilities and possesses one of the world's largest fleets of icebreaker ships, giving it strong Arctic access. Moscow argues that it is acting defensively. From its perspective, NATO has been expanding eastward, and increased military presence in the Arctic would further threaten Russian borders. On the other side, the United States and NATO see the situation differently. The U.S. already maintains a military presence in Greenland, including the Patuxent Space Base, which plays a role in missile warning systems. Washington describes its presence as defensive and necessary for global security. For NATO, the Arctic is strategically important because several member states are located in or near the region, including Norway, Denmark, Iceland, and more recently Finland and Sweden. With Finland and Sweden joining NATO, Russia's northern flank has become even more sensitive. Russia views this as a tightening strategic encirclement. China is also quietly involved. Although not an Arctic nation, China calls itself a near-Arctic state and has invested in Arctic infrastructure and trade opportunities. This means the Arctic is no longer just a two-power competition. It is becoming a multidimensional geopolitical arena. If tensions continue to rise, several outcomes are possible. First, increased military activity. More exercises, naval deployments, and air patrols in the Arctic region. Second, diplomatic pressure. Denmark may face increased political challenges, since Greenland remains part of the Kingdom of Denmark, although it has internal self-rule. Third, economic consequences. Energy markets could be affected. Oil and gas prices might fluctuate if instability increases. Fourth, the emergence of a new Cold War-style environment. Perhaps not direct conflict, but rising arms competition, political confrontation, and strategic signaling. Historically, the Arctic was considered relatively peaceful. There were cooperative frameworks like the Arctic Council, where nations collaborated on environmental and scientific issues. But today's geopolitical climate is shifting that balance. Since the war in Ukraine, tensions between Russia and the West are already high. In such an environment, even small military developments in the Arctic can become highly sensitive. Now the key question, is war likely? At this stage, there are no clear signs of immediate direct conflict. However, the danger lies in miscalculation. Wars do not always begin with intention. Sometimes they begin with misunderstanding. A minor military incident, a technical error, or an aggressive interpretation of defensive action could escalate tensions quickly. That is why Greenland matters. It is not just an island. It represents geography, resources, military strategy, and the balance of global power. Russia wants to protect its strategic interests. The United States and NATO want to maintain deterrence and security influence. China sees economic opportunity. And in the middle of it all, the Arctic is becoming the stage for a new strategic competition. For us, the key takeaway is this. Global politics is evolving rapidly. Regions once considered remote and irrelevant are now central to global power struggles. Greenland symbolizes that transformation. So the real question is, are we witnessing the beginning of a new Cold War? Or is this simply strategic pressure and power positioning? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The Arctic is no longer silent. If you found this analysis helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.